everybody. Welcome to Trades Lady Happy Hour. Cheers. Hope you've been having a fantastic week so far. I am in another lovely hotel room, and I'm going to, right off the bat, let you guys know that I am kind of out in the middle of the boonies. Reception here has not been great, but so far, so good. The hotel Wi-Fi is holding up. It's kind of hit or miss. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this happy hour without any technical issues, because I'm really excited about tonight's guest. So tonight I'll be being joined by Ms. Kate. She is a Journeyperson, 15-year body technician. She's a phenomenal woman, and I've got to thank her right off the bat for agreeing to come and do happy hour with me when she just had a baby. So she's brand new mom, currently on maternity leave, understandably, and has taken some time out of her day and out of her busy momming to come and hang out with me for a little bit. So hopefully we will have her tuning in here soon. I don't see her quite yet, but I'm going to try and send her an invite if she's in the room. So bear with me one moment, guys. We'll see if we can find Miss Kate. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, good. There we go. I couldn't find my mic, so I'm going to be a little echoey.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, so I have very low reception. So hopefully we'll be okay. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I know you just had your baby, what, how long ago? Like a week?
No, not a week.
Oh.
She's 3 months.
She's 3 months now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I wasn't sure from the Instagram pictures when exactly. So have you been on maternity leave then for a while now?
Yeah, I've been on maternity leave. I left in May because I wasn't expecting till July, and then I had her a month early.
Oh.
Yeah.
And this is your first baby?
Yeah.
Very nice. Congratulations. How's motherhood been for you?
Oh, good. The birth was not good, so I had to go back for surgeries afterwards.
Oh, wow. Oh, gosh.
So Dad took a month off just about to take care of babe while I was in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm finally home and taking care of her myself.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're okay. I didn't realize that you had such a challenging birth. My goodness. And I appreciate even more that you're taking time to hang out with me. So if you could real quick introduce yourself to everybody watching and little nutshell of who you are and what you do, and then we'll dive in and go back in time and talk about your history and all that other fun stuff.
Okay. Well, my name's Kate. I got into the trade because my whole family is into the trade. So my dad restored cars and my mom raced cars. So I ended up going into auto body straight out of high school. I figured I would try it, and then if it was good, then I'd stick around, and if not, I'll find something else. I ended up liking it. My first shop was a restoration shop.
Nice.
And then I kind of graduated over to the insurance side, and I do good there. I like it over the insurance side. And then so I moved through a few shops when I was younger. And I got into the shop that I'm in now, and I've been there for 11 years now.
Nice.
So I've taken a leave, but I have every intention in going back pretty soon.
Nice. Very cool. So when you say insurance side, do you mean more like collision?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing collision repairs, average, modern vehicles, that kind of stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
It's an interesting switch, because I hear often people saying they started in collision and then went over to restoration. So you did the backwards. You started in restoration, went to collision. I got a couple of messages actually directly to my inbox asking that I talk to you specifically about differences between restoration versus more modern vehicles doing collision work. What was the difference like for you between those two? What are the challenges? What are the, just the different ways? Because if to me, at least as a somewhat outsider to auto body, it feels like it's like a totally different world.
Okay, so going from like restoration to collision is restoration. Everybody thinks they can do it themselves. So you end up with a car that's already taken apart. Half the pieces are missing. Some of the bodywork is done. Some chunks are cut out, and you're starting with a complete mess. Whereas when you deal with collision, you're getting a full car. Like some of the pieces might be smashed out because of the collision, but you
Right.
always have like you have your specs. You can pull everything up from the dealership. You have most of your parts. If it hasn't been like if it is just let's say a door skin, like everything's there. You tear it apart, you fix it, you put it back together.
What a concept. I've never actually heard it explained that way. Like normally people dive right into like, the differences working with metal or plastic or old metal versus new metal. Like it's just that's such a fantastic answer and I never thought of it that way, but oh my gosh, you're totally right. Like so many hands have been in there already and so many people have tried to do so much that shouldn't have ever happened when you're dealing with restorations. That's very very true.
Yeah,
So you did restoration for how many years before you switched over and were like, this isn't for me?
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
4
Very cool.
years. And the boss that I worked for didn't actually indict me into the apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And then so I realized that just before I left that shop.
Explain me what that means, because I'm not super familiar, well versed in how the apprenticeship and journeyman and all the certifications work.
So in Canada, you do a 4-year apprenticeship. You can take either a pre-em class, so it's like a pre-employment of, and you can do in pretty much every trade, like in welding and in auto body and mechanics. Or you can go work in a shop, they indict you, you add up your hours, and then once you have your 10,000 hours, you can go challenge, or you can go through level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4.
Okay.
So I went through my pre-em, worked at this shop for 4 years, and realized that I was never indicted into the apprenticeship program.
Oh, so it's like a paperwork thing. He never filed the paperwork kind of thing. So you're doing all of these hours and never accumulating any credit for them.
Yeah. So I ended up switching shops,
Oh,
and then my boss vouched for me, so I got half of the hours back, and then I had to redo everything. I had to go back and do level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. So I ended
oh
up
my
doing
God.
my humans till I was like 27.
Wow. That's so, was it an oversight on his part or was it intentional? Do you know?
He didn't feel that a journeyman's was worth anything. He was definitely like an old man, like you do your job, you get paid, that school isn't going to get you any further.
Interesting.
Whereas
Wow.
now, it's tough to get a job if you've been there as long as me without your journeyman's.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, so that's a whole nother perspective that I'm not super familiar with either. Is the whole process, the apprenticeship and the journeyman and journey person, however we want to call it, all of the levels in Canada, is that a relatively newer thing? Is there a lot of contention or kind of two sides to that conversation, or are most people on board and he's just an outlier?
It was just quite a few years ago.
Okay.
It was like he retired in the early 2000s. It wasn't like they only started pushing journeyman certificates in the 80s.
Ah, okay. So a long time ago, but not that long in grand scheme of things, and he was super old school.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and some shops they're happy with being grandfathered in, and then other shops went and paid for every one of their employees to get their journeyman's. It's either one extreme or the other, and that's just the shop I ended up in. So the one I moved to, they love their accreditations for everything. They send us for training all the time, any training that they can get us into.
That's awesome. I always say that's the difference between a good and a bad shop is whether it's mechanical or paint or whatever, is like if if the boss believes in education and sends you to more training, because like especially working on newer vehicles, you know this, they're so freaking complicated. You got to keep up on stuff, and if you don't, you get left behind. So that's really cool to hear. So you've been there now for 11 years, you said?
Yeah, at this shop, I've been there for 11 years. Well, I was there for 10 years, and then 11 years would have been like right as I was leaving.
We still count it. You're still part of the family there, I assume.
So if I was still there, I'd be rolling up on my 12th year.
Gotcha. Taylor Art Garage asked what it means to be a journeyman. So is that's like the top level. So you get all of the different levels, and then once you've graduated from all of that, journeyman's like the top level of certification. Is that right?
Yeah, the journeyman is provincial test and the Red Seal is a Canadian test.
Ah, okay. Okay. So, but journeyman is the top within the provincial that you can be, and then Red Seal is getting the national. Okay. Very cool. I have to ask because I know that this is like a topic that I hear ladies talking about here and there. You worked up until almost the very end in your pregnancy. What was that like for you? What was the decision process there for you? Because some people decide they leave the industry once they get pregnant, or they aren't sure what kind of work they can do or can't do while they're pregnant. And there's all of these like questions. And I hear a lot of younger women talking about it on the regular. So I thought it might be cool to have your perspective and what your experience was.
So I wasn't intending to work like all the way to the end. I did actually take off at 32 weeks. I just wasn't expecting my baby a month early.
Okay.
Um, I did take off at 32 weeks, and even then I was moving really slow. Like I had four apprentices underneath me.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't really have to, the whole time I was pregnant, I didn't have to carry doors. I didn't have to lift hoods. Like I didn't have to do a lot of that labor stuff. And then probably like I was looking at maybe leaving when I was 26 weeks because I was so sick. But I decided to stick around because for one, we're really slow because of the pandemic. So we weren't really bringing in the hours and bringing in the vehicles. So I started only working like a half day, or I take a full day off through the week, or I'll work 4 days in a week. And then I was only working like 9 to 3 kind of thing. And then I also had with my apprentices that were taking over for me, they were trying to get as much information as they could, because I am the person who brings everything in, tears it all down, tells who's going to fix what and how we're going to fix it. So if we have like a quarter panel replacement, I'm usually the one that goes and says, okay, are we going to replace this? Are we going to repair this? Make the decision. And then if we are going to replace it, get SGI approval or insurance approval, and then figure out, because now how we have to do it with our SGI work is we have to take pictures of like every single weld. So if we have, let's say on the bottom of a drop panel on a quarter panel, we have to have 8 welds. I have to have all that paperwork there for them so that they know exactly how many welds and what kind of test procedures they need to do for those welds.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm training all of like the apprentices to learn how to pick all that stuff apart so that they can do when I'm gone.
Wow. So are your apprentices going to be basically, are they working under somebody else now while you're gone, or have you brought them up to the point where they're able to do it without you?
The one guy is pretty much there, like he's a level 3 and he's pretty much can do it without me.
Nice.
And the other guy is there, he's only a level 1, but he's a much older, like he's already got his journeyman in electrician, and he's decided to change trades.
Okay.
So he has a more mature attitude towards it. So those two are working together to do my job.
Fair enough. And you said you have a third apprentice? Is that a younger one or newer?
Yeah, there's 4 in total that we rotate in between body, paint, and me.
Okay.
But I mainly have the 2, and then sometimes we rotate them around.
How cool. How far into your career was it before you had your own apprentices working under you?
Um, Kind of when I started at this shop, like I'd say pretty much as soon as I was a level 3 tech, I already had apprentices working under me.
What is your experience? How do you feel about that? I think some in the States, it's so foreign to so many of us because we don't have formal apprenticeship programs. We don't often get put in a position to be a mentor. We don't have any of what I think are really, really awesome programs that you guys have in Canada. Um, so I know that it's something that's often like pushed hard against in the States. Like, I don't want to mentor anybody. I don't want to train anybody. What has your experience been like? Have you enjoyed being a mentor? Having apprentices?
Yeah, I love the kids. They're fun. They're fun. Most of them are willing to learn. If they're not willing to learn, they don't last long. They get fired or they quit or they just disappear.
Yeah.
They're good. It's like they're just learning their life. They're just like buying their first house, they're buying their first car, they're getting their first loan. So they have a lot of questions that aren't just auto body questions because like when they go to talk to their parents, they're like, well, that was 30 years ago.
Right. So you're mentoring them in life too, not just
Yeah.
auto body.
Oh yeah, I love having them around.
That's awesome. Have you had any negative experiences
Oh,
with apprentices?
well, yeah, but they're so young, you just kind of write it off.
Yeah.
It's like if they're pissy or whiny, you just kind of like whatever, just leave then. I don't have to be your journeyman. I don't have to teach you anything. I can let you sink.
That's fair. I was talking to a woman recently who was struggling with an apprentice type person in her shop, and it's not a formal system, it's not a formal program because it's in the U.S. But kind of knowing when to kind of pull the plug on an apprentice. I think this is a common question that I hear from bosses and shop foremen and all, anybody in a hiring or firing position. You're dealing with kids that are just coming into the field and just getting their experience, and some of them are going to work out and some of them aren't. Do you have have you had situations where like maybe you have a young apprentice who really wants it but is not good at it, and is probably not going to be successful at it? Like, when do you pull the plug, or when do you say something? How does that work for you?
We have actually. I had one that he just wasn't good at it. He was a really good employee. He was there all the time. He would help out whenever he could. If there was overtime, he would be there for it. Like he was a really awesome guy. And then so we just hung on to him because he's a good person. It's better to have a good person than a good tech sometimes. Um,
Sometimes.
he did move over into our parts department, and
Okay.
he was much better at that, much better at dealing with people, talking to parts people, and doing the computer stuff.
Interesting. And what a cool shop that you're at that has that mindset, and also like that somebody is a good person, we're going to find a place for them. But also note to anybody out there, like any young folks getting into the industry, like a good attitude really does make a world of difference, because if you don't cut it, most shops are gonna be like, all right, you're out, versus trying to find a place for you where you would be a fit. So that's pretty cool that you found that kind of shop. Any bad attitude? How do you deal with a kid with a bad attitude, an apprentice who's just not, their heart's not in it, but they're there?
When they usually have an attitude, they usually have something else going on. They have like some anxiety or they have something going on at home, and find a lot of them, if you just talk to them, you figure it out pretty quick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had one he had just a terrible, like just a know-it-all. And then after talking to him, it's like, no, he's just freaking out because he has so much anxiety that he's messing up over and over and over again. You just need to calm him down a bit, and it's okay.
I'm so glad that you said that. You're going to be an amazing mom, by the way. Just in that statement alone, I can tell. That's so true. And I think employers, bosses, we tend to write people off instead of just asking them, like, what's going on? That is fantastic, and very aware of you to take that approach with them. That's super cool. You're getting a lot of love for that as well in the in the comments. I agree. Um, so back to being pregnant on the job. Do you is there, are there protections in place in Canada, or is this just you being at a great shop that kind of gave you the flexibility to take days off here and there, work shorter hours? Um,
There is things in Canada, like I could have gone on sick leave. So if you don't have support through your work and it is unsafe for whatever reason, you can go on sick leave. Pretty much like my doctor told me right at the very start, he said, if you don't feel comfortable working, we'll put you on sick leave. You'll stay on sick leave until you can switch over to maternity. But I had like my shop is like we have the vacuum hoses, we have the great big prep booths where it's like the drive-through booth that ventilates. We have
the
all
latest and
up,
greatest.
yeah, like our draft booths. We have all the technologies. And then I also have our head painter has 4 kids. And then so he's like very paranoid and like right on about no spraying in the shop, no like not even can spray like spray bomb in the shop, like that's all done in the booth. And then the other painter, his wife is actually a CO like a respiratory nurse,
Oh,
so he's another one that was very pushy about only spraying in the booth and using the ventilators, using the hoses, using the air supply respirators. So I'm in a really good shop.
it sounds like it. That's incredible. And what a cool statement in and of itself that is, like all of the concerns that people have about being a woman in this industry or about being pregnant in this industry or about being a mom in this, like all of those concerns get totally negated when you're in a high quality shop that treats their people well and are professional and have safety precautions in place. Like all of the rest of it becomes kind of a non-issue, I feel like, from what you're saying.
Yeah, a lot of my concerns weren't really concerns because of the shop I was in. If I was at a different shop, like the last one I worked at, I would have left. I would have been forced to leave because I would have had no choice because there's spraying outside the booth. There was sanding without masks on. There's no vacuum system whatsoever. They only had cross drop booths. They wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. And I think that's where probably a lot of women are in those situations because most shops are probably not as high tech as yours is and as strict about PPE and safety precautions as yours is. So I'm glad that that's where you were. It always makes me sad when I hear of the industry losing women to something that's avoidable to lose women to, right? They're leaving because they feel they have to, but that's pretty cool. I want to go back in time a little bit and just kind of totally change topics here, I guess, maybe sort of. You said your mom was a race car driver and your dad was in the industry in what capacity? I forget.
He just restored cars.
He restored cars. Okay.
Just on the
So,
side. He did more mechanical. He didn't do any body work.
okay. What was it that made you go the route of body when you were young? Because you said that you went straight in to try that out and see how that worked for you. Was there a reason why you chose that versus mechanical or racing or something else that you had been exposed to younger in life?
I was looking at that or music, like an education degree in music.
Makes sense, the education degree. You're clearly a teacher.
And those are kind of the two things I was looking at. But the education degree was so expensive. And at the time, it was a really tough program to get into. So I just decided I would try a Kelsey, like a trades program first and see how it went.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you chose body versus mechanical or anything else?
Because of the art of it. I really do like the airbrushing and the painting and the art of auto body. That's kind of why I ended up going into a restoration shop at first. Because of
You
like
don't get to do airbrushing in a collision shop very often, do you?
no, but you don't do much airbrushing in the restoration shop either.
That's true.
Like, not that much. And
Yeah.
done some pinstriping and stuff. Like people come in with their custom paint jobs and still have to match it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hmm.
You'll do custom stuff in at the collision shop too?
Yeah, we do. We have
Nice.
an airbrush guy that comes in and does some stuff. Um, he's on Instagram. His name is Too Tall.
That's awesome.
He's had some amazing work. And
Nice.
then, yeah, so if we do have like, and we do, especially when we get slow, we'll do some custom, like we'll clear his bikes and stuff for him, do some custom work. I
Nice.
just don't post any of the custom stuff because it's like it's his work and it's the shop's work. It's not really my work.
Gotcha. Do you get to work on it ever? On the on more of the classic stuff or no?
Oh yeah, if anything comes in that's like a collision on on an old car, an old vehicle, I
Mhm.
guess.
Nice.
If there's like we had a 36 Ford come in that the guy rear-ended somebody because it had no brakes. So I got that
Ah,
one.
old cars.
Yeah. And like same with I just worked on a Torino, a
Okay.
79 Torino. Oh, that one was nice. I think I
Nice. That's funny. I just
actually
worked on one recently too.
yeah, yeah, that one was really nice. It was just the guy got a door ding, so we had to do just the door.
Is there is there a difference metal wise? Old, new, different approaches?
Oh
What's
yeah, big difference. Yeah, the old stuff is so thick. It can handle a lot more. It like you can heat it. It's totally different. Whereas the thin stuff, especially with all the aluminums coming out, like we work on a lot of aluminum vehicles. When you look at Ford has aluminum, Chevy has aluminum. Plus we do lots of German vehicles like
nice?
Audi, Mercedes, a few
And that's a
Porsche.
ton of aluminum.
Yeah, there's tons of aluminum, plastic.
The aluminum stuff, are you mostly replacing or are you repairing aluminum stuff as well? I don't.
They're on aluminum.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we have our like an aluminum stall just for repair.
Okay.
And as long as you keep your aluminum to aluminum, you keep your steel to steel, we haven't had many problems.
Nice. That is a whole new world for me. I give you major props for being able to keep up and knowing the collision side and the restoration side is huge because it is such a different group of skill sets and the new cars or the technology is changing so quickly. I see it on the mechanical side. It's like I left the dealership, I don't know, what, 14 years ago, but like 3 years after I left the dealership, I felt like I'd already like, I had just been left behind. So you're not keeping up on the technology, but I know that happens on the body side as well. And it's different materials, different practices. That's a lot to keep up on.
Yeah, so much is going to be changed by the time I get back. Like a year away is just going to be, I'm going to be walking in blind.
Isn't that so crazy how quickly it happens? Like it blows me away. I get cars now that brand new cars and I look at them like I don't even know. Like the cars that I'm super familiar with now are already 15 years old. And it's such a different world. It's insane. Excuse me. Um, I had another question for you and I totally lost track of it. Oh, I wanted to talk about projects you have outside of work because you've got some stuff that you do outside of work as well, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
so we have my husband has a 38 Ford. I
nice.
had a 39 Ford. There's pictures of it on my Instagram, but it is gone now. We sold it.
Oh no.
And then, oh, we had to buy baby stuff.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then I bought the Ranchero in October.
Okay. Very nice. And the Ranchero is project car or completed already?
Well, it was only supposed to be just swap out the engine and drive it rusty.
I love that. It was only supposed to be. Let me guess what the plan is now.
So now it's gutted. I have the glass. We have the glass in, and then it's parked outside. And got found ourselves a parts car. The parts car, the guy wanted too much money for it, so we're like kind of humming and hawing. And they called us back like when I was in the hospital. I
Oh,
called us
well,
back. How about $600? We're like, well, it doesn't have a roof. He's like, I got the roof back. Okay.
oh my God. So you're in the hospital negotiating this deal.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So we
so now
got,
you have the project car
and
as
the parts.
well as the parts car, and
Yeah.
are you doing a full resto on it now after it was just supposed to be a swap?
Yeah.
I love it. Are you actually working on it right now? I mean,
Nope.
not right
My
this second,
husband is doing
obviously,
all
but
of it right now. Like with because I was gonna tear it apart and do that. And then we found a whole bunch of mice nests in it.
oh
And then
no.
says I can't do that when I'm pregnant. So Shannon did all of that. And then now it's sitting in the garage where they have the baby all day. So one
You're
day,
gonna be bringing the baby out there to the garage with you and be wrenching on it in no time.
yeah, when she's older, when she's not as needy and she can go 4 hours without feeds.
Mm-hmm. You getting any sleep these days?
Yeah, I
Oh,
is actually one of the really lucky people that she's been sleeping through the night since 5 weeks.
wow, nice. Congratulations. That's awesome. That is not most people's stories.
Yeah.
Very cool. How long do you think you're going to stay off maternity or on maternity before you go back?
I already agreed to go back in January, so just
Okay,
7 months.
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I
Get a break.
figured that's long enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you, I mean, I'm assuming this shop that you're at is a long-term shop for you. You plan on staying there for a long time. Do you have other projects or things that you'd like to accomplish outside of work that you haven't been able to yet or want to or have on your horizon?
I started, actually it's my father's car, but I started his car and it's a 78 Trans Am.
Okay, fun.
So that one will be done because the one I post is a 78, but um, it's an automatic. This other one is a 4-speed, and then it's going to get painted white.
Okay.
And then when I post on my Instagram, that's a black 78 automatic with 400 on it.
Okay. And that is also one of yours?
That one is my dad's.
Your dad's as well. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, not very many of my vehicles are actually running.
Okay, how many vehicles do you have?
We have the 38
Okay.
or the 38. We have the Ranchero, then our daily drivers, which is just like a
Those
E3.
run. That's good.
Yeah, so our daily drivers run. And then we have like an entire lot of 38, 39 Ford trucks.
An entire lot. I love that. And how many of those run?
None.
Oh, you're my like spirit animal. I love it. That's awesome.
None of them even have engines.
Nice. I get made fun of all the time for the number, and I don't even have an entire lot full. So, if any of you guys are out there listening right now who make fun of me for this, it's normal. It's normal to have lots of cars that don't run.
Yeah, I don't know, like 8 trucks, I think.
That's awesome. Very cool. At my worst, I had 6 BMWs that didn't run. Now I only have 2 now, so I brought it down. That's awesome. So what are you doing with this fleet
I'm
of
sure my
trucks?
Ranchero does run, like the engine runs.
It's just not in the truck.
It's actually in it too.
Oh, nice. Good.
It runs and it's in it. It doesn't like drive. It's not hooked up to the drivetrain. But the engine runs.
Amazing. What are your dailies? Your daily
Daily.
drivers. Daily
Oh,
drivers.
I have a 13 B250, the little
Oh,
Mercedes.
fun.
And then
Very
we have I think I probably deleted them. And then we have like a lifted E350.
Okay,
like
nice.
with like a four-wheel drive conversion kit on it.
Okay, very fun. And so what is the plan with this big lot of trucks that you have? This fleet of trucks.
They're actually, so my husband owns a restoration shop.
Ah, nice.
And then so the goal was if somebody came in that didn't know what they wanted to build, they just wanted some sort of rat rod that they
Okay.
could pick out of the lot, pick a like a, a 39 or a 38 or something like that, and then kind of mix and match the or find some fenders, put it together, and then they could have their own little rat rod for under $20,000.
That's a really fun concept. I really like that. How has that been working out? Is it been a successful concept?
No, not really. Um, People come in with
I
their
love your
dream.
honesty. No.
People come in with their dream car. Like there's lots of really nice stuff in there. We did um there's a 69 Charger in there. There's you probably it's on my Instagram. It's like a cherry red. It's a really nice car. There's a 67 Mustang. There's a 81 Trans Am, I think. Like there's some really cool cars in there, but people have all supplied their own cars with their own jobs and
Yeah.
their own, most of them have done their own parts too. We haven't really done any of like the rat rod idea.
Do you help out in that shop as well?
I do, yeah.
So you're like busy 24/7 basically.
Yeah,
And now even more so with a child.
yeah, I still do because when you're a business owner, there is no leave, there is no nothing. So
Yeah. How did you said
we,
your husband took out though, took work off, I can't speak, took off of work while when you were in the
yeah,
hospital. So that was his shop basically. Did he have to shut down? Or did
he
you
has a
guys have to shut
partner
down?
there.
He's what?
He has a partner there, so his partner
Ah,
runs the shop.
nice. That's good.
Yeah, but he
Good that-
didn't really have a choice. He had to come home and take
Yeah.
care of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's awesome that he had a partner. And and it's cool for you, it sounds like that you get to have kind of the best of both worlds. You have this awesome shop that you work at that's super high end and keeps sending you to training, but you still get like that little dose of restoration life and vintage
Yeah,
and classic stuff too.
yeah, yeah. I do. I don't do much there. Like I do their books, and I do
Okay.
like I'll prep for them. If they have something that needs to go in the booth, I'll wash it and mask it up. I just do ease, like it's on my spare time, so I do easy
Yeah.
work there.
I don't blame you. If you're getting my volunteer hours, I'm doing the easy stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna mask a car up and listen to my music.
Amen to that. That's
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah, I did.
Um,
I've done a little bit of body work there, but not much. Like I'll do some jams or do a little spot here and there where you're just putting spot putty.
yeah. Within all of the different things that you do and different types of jobs that you're doing at work and stuff that you're doing at home, your own projects, what's your favorite stuff to do? And I don't necessarily mean like restoration or collision, but like doing the mechanical side of stuff, doing the painting itself, doing body work, doing dent repair. Like what's your favorite part of it? Do you have a favorite part?
I don't know if I have. I definitely do like fighting with the electrical systems. So
Just the
like,
way you say that, I like fighting with the electrical
like you
systems.
have to reprogram a sunroof, reprogram um the blind spot sensitivity. And it's like you just have to read the equipment so closely, and then you have to do like it's like you have to turn a knob 3 times, press a button for 10 seconds.
Yeah, jump up and down on one leg, rub your belly, and
Yeah,
pat your head.
yeah,
Yeah.
I actually quite like doing that, going through the instructions and going through it piece by piece to try to reset a kind of electronics.
Interesting. I think most people would say that that's probably their least favorite. What is it? What is it you like about it?
That's
And
so
there's no
precise.
judgment because I like that stuff too, but I'm just curious to hear your answer.
Like it's so precise, and then so once you get it, it's good. It's all right. And I like learning about it and learning about all the electrical and learning about how things work and how it resets in the vehicle.
Interesting. I find it I find it very interesting that you kind of came into the career because you like the art side of it. And now the part that you, the first off your tongue of things that you like the most are now very mechanical, very electrical, kind of the newer technology of being an automotive technician versus the art side. Like those are two polar opposite kind of
Yeah.
kind of things. That's interesting. Do you still find an outlet for the art side of you, that creative side of you, or have you found that yours where your interest lies have changed?
No, I definitely do a lot of art stuff at home. I bead moccasins, and I have
Nice.
I have an arts craft. I have like 100 projects on the go at a time. It drives my husband insane.
And you're totally my spirit animal. This is awesome. I'm not the only one. Good. Because I'm going to end this happy hour when we're done and I'm going to go crochet. So um, I don't normally meet other like car folks, male or female, and we're like, yeah, I also like doing this weird crafty project, and I love it. That's awesome. Okay. And I'm also the same as you with like 9,000 works in progress that will probably not ever get finished.
Hmm.
At least you have an excuse, though. You have a daughter.
Yeah.
I don't have an excuse for not getting my projects done. All right. So fighting with electrical is your top choice of things that you love doing. Anything else? What would be your next? What are the things that you love working on?
Hmm. Things I love working on. I just like there are like I hate work. I hate fighting with SGI.
With
So I think
with the insurance company?
that's our insurance company. Yeah. Definitely like I do enjoy what I do. Like I enjoy taking
Oh,
everything apart and seeing how it works and how it intertwines together, and especially when you get something new in and see how it binds.
yeah. Interesting. Very much on the mechanical side again, the things that you're enjoying out of it. I find that interesting. Do you get in cars, like just even when you're not at work, just get in cars and look at stuff and figure out how to take it apart?
Oh yeah. We had
Or
like um we had these like the money trucks.
the what trucks? Oh, the
The
like
money
the
trucks.
Brinks trucks that transport
Yeah,
money?
like
Yeah.
the trucks and stuff. So we fixed a few of those, and I like sat in one. And I'm like, I've got to figure out a way how to get out of this. There's got to be a way.
So now I have to figure out a way how to fix this. I have to figure out a way how to get out of one.
Because
All
they
right.
warned me when they gave me the keys and stuff. They're like, okay, whatever you do, do not get locked inside because there is no way out.
Oh, wow.
It's like, there's got to be a way out.
That's interesting. You're like, I can figure this out. Because,
Yeah.
just in case you get trapped in one day.
Or
Very
just in case
important.
I can break out of one.
Oh my gosh. I would think that there would be like a ton of security around working on one of those. Was it a special situation or is that something normal?
Empty.
What's that?
They're empty. It's not
Well,
like they're
I mean,
full.
I figured.
So there isn't really any security. You have to, like, we have to plug them in to make sure that all their security cameras are stay charged.
Okay.
They have 24-hour security cameras running, but that's all.
Interesting.
Yeah, there really wasn't any security about like us going in and out of the vehicle or learning because we like we I've done quite a few of them.
Interesting. Is that a contract that your shop has with a company that
Not actually a contract. They just keep on coming back to us.
interesting. So I mean, they're not independently owned. They're owned by companies or by the banks, I presume, yeah?
And like,
Is it getting dark in there? Oh,
yeah, it's
that's
getting
better.
the sun's already down. There's
What
the
time
joy
is it there?
of north. It's 6, just about
Oh,
7.
okay. That's not bad.
Yeah,
That's
our
super
sun.
easy.
Yeah, we aren't gonna have sun. Give it another month. Our sun will be down by 5.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in that boat too. It's it's almost 8 o'clock here, but it's been dark for a little while now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, back to the Brinks truck. So
yeah.
they're bulletproof and they're bulletproof glass. So they're 3-pane glass. So the glass is just terrible to get out.
Is it
And
really
then
heavy?
it's 3 panes and it's like house glass. Like it is
Oh
thick.
wow. Wow. Interesting.
Um, it's not really heavy. And then because of all the bulletproofing, they constantly tear the structure of the vehicles because they're
Oh,
only on 350s. And then so they can't handle all that weight.
interesting. So
So we have to do a lot of structural repairs with them.
so the weight of the truck is causing the structure, the frame to
Mhm.
tear or break.
Like the weight of the bulletproofing.
Oh wow. That's something I wouldn't have even thought of, but it makes total sense.
Hmm.
Interesting. Is it a totally different like setup or things that you need to know how to do to work on a bulletproof vehicle? Like what kind of equipment differences? I'm like fascinated by this for some reason. I don't know why it's totally fascinating me, but
It's not really like you need your same stuff. They give you all their lock keys,
okay.
because they have certain locks over the handles. There's no outside handle, and they have another key lock on the inside that locks the inside handle. And then they have big steel plating, like the bulletproof plating instead of like a door panel. They have bulletproof plating all the way around the inside of the vehicle.
Okay.
Some of them are like you sit in them, and it's like you're sitting in the Dumb and Dumber dog truck because there's so much padding on the inside. And then they have
Interesting.
like carpeted and fur on the inside with the split window.
Oh wow. What's the purpose of the carpeting and the fur? Is that just more protection against
That's for
like
the soundproofing because of the steel is so thick it makes a lot of noise.
so the steel for the bulletproofing and then the fuzzy stuff for for keeping it quiet in there. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And Taylor, our garage really wants to know if you figured out eventually how to break out.
I think if I had a torch, I could do it. I think you can go straight through the floor.
Well, yeah, I guess if you have a torch, you can do just about anything, right? Hopefully, you never have to figure that out, and that's never a concern.
I don't know if this is something I should be telling on, but from what I could tell from being under the vehicle, it doesn't look like the actual floor of an armor plate vehicle is plated on the outside.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably not stuff you're supposed to be telling anybody. But note to self, if you're gonna get locked in an armored car, bring a torch. That's the moral of that story.
I'm pretty sure that's the only way you'd be able to get out is with a torch.
This is amazing. Definitely a first for Trades Lady Happy Hour. I love it. All right, moving on from armored cars and things that might get us in trouble with the government. What else should we talk about? We've got about 10 minutes left. I guess one of the things I want to kind of go way back in time in, because you've been in the industry for some time now, and I notice personally a little bit of difference in experiences from women, particularly who got into the industry like way early versus more recently. What was it like? We haven't really touched on this much at all as a woman getting into the industry for you.
Getting into the industry, it was tough years ago. There was no women. There was nobody to look up to. There was no Instagram. There was nothing. So even though that there was the odd woman out there, there was nobody you could talk to. So you just kind of had to tough it out, and if you got along with the guys, then you could get through it. If you didn't, then you either had to move shop or you got kicked out. You would leave.
Yeah. How did you handle that personally, dealing with not having anybody to talk to, any mentors? I had the same experience. I didn't know anybody else like me existed for the first, I don't know, 8 years of my career. I just thought I was an odd duck weirdo. But how did you handle that? Because I'm sure there were hard days and some were easier than others, but
Yeah, there was tough days. Like I don't think I handled it the best.
tell me what you mean by that.
Like I definitely did a lot of partying, and I would show up to work because there was a lot of drunks in the trade. You could show up to work drunk or hungover and nobody cared.
Yeah.
Where it's not like that now.
No. Well, in some places it is. Sadly, in a lot of places, at least in the US, it still is. But
Hmm. Yeah, no, a lot of places here, if you were to show up to work drunk, you're going home.
oh well. Yeah. I mean, that should be. That's the way it should be, 100%. I know a lot of shops in the US that don't enforce that, or where the boss is doing that. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I probably didn't handle it the best, but I got through it and I went to school. I eventually moved shops to a way better shop. And then once I got into the better shop, things started to change. I started getting along better with my coworkers and um like it's just a lot of it. Like even when I did work in my first shop that was kind of rough, I still had good coworkers. I still had people that I got along with. And there was actually a girl in that shop that
oh,
she's no longer in the trade. She actually refinishes furniture now.
oh, how interesting.
So she still stayed painting.
Yeah, just doing something different.
Just didn't yet. And then so I did have like a friend that was another woman in the trade, but she got pregnant and she left right away.
Interesting.
Because back when we were still using we were just switching over to waterborne then. We
Uh,
still had acrylic paints, and it wasn't safe for somebody to be pregnant in a body shop.
that makes sense. And then she never wanted to come back.
She tried. She tried going back to another shop, but it just ended up that like going to working in a shop as an apprentice didn't pay enough for her to pay for daycare, so
Yeah,
she just decided to go be a mom.
that's fair. That's fair. Unfortunate that there's not enough pay to make it worthwhile, but were there ever times where you felt like giving up?
Yeah, before I went to this shop, I was ready. I said, if I don't find another job, I'm done. So I'm going to try one more shop. So I'll try a third shop. And if that shop doesn't pan out, then I am so done with the trade.
Interesting. Was it the trade in general, or was it your experience as a woman in the trade? Do you feel like is it is our problem more as a industry that we are losing people in general because of the challenges of our trade, or is there something more specific that you experienced as a woman?
There's
Do you feel?
both. There's a lot of sexism, a lot of problems with that, a lot of problems with like somebody would hit on me, and then if I said no, then they'd cause a big kerfluffle, and then they go to the boss and they get pulled in off. Well, why did you tempt him? Well, that's not how this works.
So you
And
were
then,
being accused of tempting the guys
yeah,
that were flirting with you? That's amazing. Okay.
and then there's also the problems of like here, insurance runs the shop because we have government insurance. And then so you kind of have no choice but to have your rates set at the government insurance rates.
For charging the customers or charging the insurance company? Does that
For
also dictate the pay to technicians?
to pay the technicians.
Ah,
So our insurance rate is $96 an hour.
okay.
And then so that gets paid out to the shops. And then so a shop on average will pay 50%, which is a lot to their tech.
Yeah, that
So
is
that
significant.
maxes out the tax of like you have to remember this is Canadian, not American.
Yes.
$50 an hour, which is
Right.
like $30 American, which is not very much money here for how much living costs.
No, No. Although it's interesting because that's still a greater percentage than I hear of most places paying their techs of their labor rate. Like
Hmm.
on average, I hear technicians getting paid 25 to 30% of the labor rate. So it's a good percentage, but it means your labor rate is really low overall.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know like Ontario is really bad for that, where Ontario has really low rates, and then so they jack up their hours. So they'll get paid, like, even though they're only getting paid $14 an hour, what I would charge an hour for a dent, they would charge 6 hours for the same dent just so they can get paid the same rate.
Gotcha. Interesting. All the fun things that we deal with in our industry.
And that has lost a lot of people in our trade just
I
because
agree.
insurance runs the show and they're lowering their prices and not covering and like they're not covering for safety. A lot of insurance aren't covering for the proper safety precautions. I hate
Yeah.
to say it, but it's what's happening.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I think it's a real challenge, especially as we continue to move forward with technology. Is like it's hard for a shop to stay current. It's hard to stay up on the safety stuff, on the technology stuff, on the computers, on all of the things that it takes to make a good shop. And if we can't charge what we need to charge to support that, then the good shops don't make it. And that's a problem that I think all areas of our industry is facing. It's a little terrifying actually.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
I've had to argue a few times for things like seat belts and SRS sensors. And like, this is not an argument. Let me talk to your boss. I
Yeah.
need.
Wow. That's insane and frightening.
Yeah, because you need a tech that knows what they're doing to fight for that stuff for the customer. 'Cause the customer doesn't know.
No.
They take the car to a shop, it gets fixed, and they drive it again.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't know what's in there, what the technology is, whether a part should have been replaced that wasn't. Yeah. It's a little frightening. I'm glad your customers have you as an advocate there. And it really does sound like your shop is awesome. I want to come visit your shop. Um, we are already running out of time, so I have to ask your permission to go over a couple of minutes because I have a couple more questions that I have for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Um,
My husband already put the baby to bed, so I've got all sorts of time.
Sweet. I won't give you too long. Um, and these two questions they might have the same answer, so we'll just put it out there. One is in those times where you thought you wanted to give up or quit, like what stopped you and what kind of kept you holding on and how did you get through those periods? And then the other question and why I think it might kind of be the same answer is if you had the opportunity to talk to the younger version of you or somebody out there like you trying to get in for the first time and start out in the industry, what your advice for them is.
Okay, I only have 50% battery life left, so
All right, so we'll make that one good answer.
um, what kept me going is I just wanted to give it one try. I figure auto body deserves at least three tries. And there was just like my biggest problem with the shop that I left was some of the people. It wasn't the shop, it wasn't the trade, it wasn't what I was doing. It was just my coworkers. So I switched shops and then I got new coworkers and everything changed. Your coworkers make a world of difference because you spend 8 hours a day with them, even more than that sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then what was the question? Advice for somebody younger? Um, like don't sweat the small stuff. And if you have a coworker that's terrible, don't give them time of day. Just do you.
Cheers to that. Yes. Find your allies and shut the rest of it out. And you don't even need to pay attention to them. Yep. You're absolutely right. Coworkers make the world of difference. So everybody out there who works in a shop, know that you are the reason why somebody new in the industry stays or leaves. It's how you treat them, and we all get to determine what this industry looks like. It's what we do. It's how we behave. It's up to us what this industry is going to look like in the future. So phenomenal advice and words of wisdom. It was really great to meet you. I'm so excited that you said yes. I'm gonna let you get back to your evening and get back to your bebe. And I wish you all of the best in the future. And I want you to come down to Phoenix one day when you have time, because I would love to meet you and have you get involved in the build. And I would love to come up to visit you. And I
Come
appreciate
up
you
to
spending some time
Canada,
with me.
just not in the winter.
What's that?
Say come up to Canada, just not in the
I
winter.
know, right? Well, and when it's winter in Canada, you should come to Phoenix because it's really lovely there. We can like work out an exchange program. It'll be great.
Yeah, it might be too hot for me.
Nah, not in the winter. In the winter, it's beautiful. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for hanging out with me for this evening, and I want to appreciate everybody else who's tuned in as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Trades Lady Happy Hour. Make sure you go over and give Miss Kate some love on her social media and support what she's doing. And make sure you tune in next week for another awesome woman of the trades that we will get introduced to. And for now, be good to yourselves, be good to one another. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we will see you later.